Most people who reach $2 million don't actually change their lives. They keep waking up at the same time, they keep driving the same commute, they keep sitting in the same meetings. After 30 years of working, sacrificing, saving, and investing, they finally hit the number they once dreamed about. And then they keep working. Not because they have to, but because it feels safer. And almost no one stops to ask the question that really matters: when have I sacrificed enough? Let me tell you about Mark and Lisa. They're both 62 years old. They've been disciplined savers their entire lives. They avoided lifestyle inflation. They invested consistently. They said no to things when others said yes. And today, they have exactly $2 million saved. This was always the goal. For years, they told themselves, when we hit 2 million, we'll be done. But now that they're here, something feels different. Instead of feeling free, they feel uncertain. So they're thinking about working 2 more years, just to be safe, just to push their portfolio up another $250,000. On paper, that sounds responsible, but let's slow down and really look at what that decision costs. If they work 2 more years, that's about 240 workdays per year. Over 2 years, that's 480 days. 480 mornings waking up to an alarm, 480 days commuting, 480 days sitting at a desk. That's roughly 4,000 hours of their life. Now, here's where this gets real. Mark and Lisa are 62. If they live to 92, which is very reasonable today, they have about 30 years left. That's around 11,000 days. Those 480 workdays represent almost 5% of their entire remaining lifetime. 5%. For $250,000, they may not even need. And here's what makes this trade even more painful. Those aren't just any days. They're not trading time at age 85. They're not trading time at age 88. They're trading time at 62, 63, and 64. These are their strongest remaining years. These are the years when they can travel comfortably on long flights, hike difficult trails, stay active without constant aches, play on the floor with grandkids, say yes to spontaneous adventures. Energy is highest now. Mobility is highest now. By their late 70s, statistically, stamina declines, recovery slows, physical limits increase. So when they choose to work longer, they're not just trading time, they're trading their healthiest years. Now, at this point, a reasonable person would say, okay, Clara, that sounds emotional, but what about the math? What if 2 million isn't enough? Fair question, because if the numbers don't work, then none of this matters. So let's break it down clearly. Mark and Lisa have 2 million total. About 1.7 million is in pre-tax retirement accounts. About 300,000 is in after-tax accounts. They want to spend $95,000 per year after taxes in retirement. That covers their home, travel, food, hobbies, giving, everything. They'll adjust that spending for inflation each year. At age 67, they'll begin receiving Social Security totaling about $4,800 per month combined. When we run these numbers through a structured retirement model using guardrails-based planning, here's what we find. They have about a 97% probability of success over a 30-plus year retirement. That means there's only a 3% chance they would ever need to reduce spending based on market performance. And even in that unlikely scenario, they wouldn't be devastated. Their portfolio would need to drop by over 30% and stay depressed for a prolonged period. And even then, their spending adjustment would likely be temporary and modest. Instead of $95,000 per year, they might drop to around $90,000 for a period of time. That's not financial ruin, it's a small adjustment. So mathematically, they are not on the edge. They are not barely scraping by. They are solid, which means the extra $250,000 they're chasing doesn't materially change their safety. It doesn't dramatically improve their probability. It doesn't transform their lifestyle. It simply makes a comfortable plan slightly more comfortable, but it costs them 480 days of irreplaceable time. Now, let's talk about the biggest fear people have when retiring before 65, healthcare. This is the wall so many people run into. They think, we can't retire until Medicare starts. Healthcare will ruin us. But let's walk through it calmly. Mark and Lisa can control how much income they show each year by managing withdrawals carefully. If they keep their modified adjusted gross income around $82,000, they qualify for healthcare subsidies under current rules. That means their premium costs on a silver level plan could be around $700 per month combined. Over 3 years, from 62 to 65, that totals roughly $24,500. Now, pause there. 3 years of coverage for both of them costs about $24,500. Now compare that to what they're giving up. They would be trading 480 days of freedom to avoid roughly $16,000 to $24,000 of healthcare expense. That's about $8,000 per year. So they would stay locked into full-time work to avoid spending $8,000 per year from a $2 million portfolio. Healthcare isn't a mysterious monster. It's a line item. It's a known cost. And when you plan for it intentionally, it becomes manageable. Yet psychologically, it feels enormous. This isn't about math. It's about fear. There's something strange that happens when people reach financial independence. Instead of feeling free, they feel exposed. For decades, work provided structure, identity, routine, validation, and steady income. Letting go of that feels risky, even when the numbers say it's safe. And so people tell themselves stories. One more year won't hurt. Let's just pad it a little more. I'll feel better at $2.5 million. But what's really happening? The goalpost moves because safety is not a number, it's a feeling, and feelings don't always respond to math. Let me ask you something directly. If $2 million with a 97% success rate isn't enough, what number would finally feel safe? $2.5 million? $3 million? At some point, more money stops increasing security in any meaningful way. It just delays living. Mark and Lisa already spent 30 years sacrificing. They delayed trips, they drove older cars, they worked late, they invested instead of spending. They did all of that so that one day they could wake up without an alarm, so they could choose what to do with their time, so they could design their days around meaning instead of meetings. And now they're here. The math says they're ready. The only thing left is permission. But here's the truth. No one is going to show up at your door and hand you a retirement certificate. Your coworkers won't tell you it's okay. Your neighbors might even question you. Some friends will project their own fears onto you. Are you sure? Is that enough? What if something happens? Something will always happen. Markets fluctuate, inflation rises and falls, life throws curveballs. But that's true whether you retire at 62 or 64. 2 extra years do not eliminate uncertainty. They simply shrink your remaining healthy time. And time is the only asset that never replenishes. You can rebuild a portfolio after a market dip. You cannot rebuild your early 60s. You cannot store energy for later use. You cannot bank mobility. When it's gone, it's gone. And this is the quiet cost most people ignore. They focus entirely on protecting their money while unintentionally spending their healthiest years. At the end of your life, you will not look back and wish you had attended 2 more quarterly meetings. You won't wish you answered more emails. You won't wish you accumulated an extra 12% cushion. You will wish for more memories, more shared meals, more travel, more mornings without urgency, more time. Money is a tool. It's meant to buy back your time. When you keep working unnecessarily, you reverse the trade. You give up time to accumulate more tools you may never fully use. Mark and Lisa don't need more money. They need confidence. They need to believe what the numbers are already telling them. They are financially independent. They have a high probability of success. They have manageable healthcare costs. They have flexibility if markets dip. They have Social Security arriving later to reduce portfolio pressure. They are not reckless. They are prepared. So now the decision becomes simple, though not easy. Do they trust the plan? Do they trust themselves? Because the barrier between them and retirement is no longer mathematical, it's psychological, and that's where most early retirements are won or lost. You did not spend 30 decades building wealth so that you could die with the highest possible balance. You built wealth so you could live well, so you could choose your mornings, so you could choose your pace, so you could be present. And once you reach $2 million, and once the math confirms sustainability, every additional year you work should be a conscious choice, not a reflex, not fear-driven, not habit-driven. A conscious choice. If you love your work deeply and it energizes you, that's different. But if you're working primarily because you're feeling unsure, because you're waiting for absolute certainty, understand this. Absolute certainty does not exist. Only probability does. And a 97% probability is strong. So the real question isn't, is $2 million enough? For Mark and Lisa, the answer is yes. The real question is, are they ready to stop trading their healthiest years for marginal increases in security? They have done the hard part. They saved, they invested, they reached the number. The math says they're done. Now they just have to believe it. And if you're watching this and you're somewhere near that line yourself, I want you to think carefully. If your plan works on paper, if healthcare is manageable, if your probability of success is high, what exactly are you waiting for? Because the cost of waiting isn't just time, it's your best time. Now, in the next video, I'm going to address something just as important. Even when people retire successfully, many struggle with spending. They feel guilty, they feel anxious, they hesitate to enjoy what they built. So I'm going to show you the psychological framework that allows retirees to finally spend confidently, without fear. The video is called, "When I Show Retirees This, They Stop Worrying About Spending." If you're serious about not just retiring safely, but actually enjoying retirement, you'll want to watch that next. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'll see you there.